So, welcome to another episode of In Between Homes with Lucy. Today, I am hosting Mauricio, and we will have a conversation about how he ended up in the French Switzerland near Italy and all the way from Venezuela with his family and his two kids. So, welcome to Mauricio. How are you?
Bonjour, Lucy. Très bien. I'm super happy and super pumped to be here sharing this time with you and sharing my life experience with your audience. So I'm very grateful and very excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you for saying yes to this invitation. And tell us, where is home for you?
Oh, well, home is wherever I am with my family and with myself and in a place where I feel good. But we're calling home now a house in the outskirts of Milano in Italy. Where we are living here since the last two years. And I'm super excited to be here. It has been a great place and a great a great area to for this stage of our life.
Mm. So you mentioned that now you live in Italy, but do you remember 10 years ago how your life was? How were you already married, having kids? How was life for you? Were you home? Were you living in another country? Let's look back. And
Yes, that's very interesting, Lucy, because in July 5th, now in 2024, it, uh, it, it's 10 years after we moved the first time out of Venezuela. So, and actually, my wife made a post on Instagram a few weeks ago about that. And we have a picture with all our stuff, living our home or apartment in Caracas with our two daughters. They were 4 and 2 by the time. And we were starting an adventure that, well, we never expected that will take us where we are now. But our life then was a very good life. We were having an awesome life. I was the general manager of my family business in security services in Venezuela. We had operations in Venezuela, Panama, and Miami. And my wife was working for Nestle as a corporate employee. And so we were happy. We had our parents, both of our parents living close by. So we were having lunch every every week during the week, even or at our place, at our parents, and our kids were very happy. But our country was going through a very difficult situation, and it is right now also going through a very difficult situation. Um, and well, we were happy as a family, and we were succeeding in our careers, but we were thinking from a few years before, what's the kind of life we want to give to our kids? What's the kind of future? What's the kind of options we want to give to them? And we decided to start working, looking for options to move abroad because we were having less freedom, and we were starting to feel like foreigners in our own home country because our friends and family were moving abroad, were looking for other opportunities, and since we were very comfortable with good jobs, good house, good family surrounding us, good friends, we were not, pushed to. But then some elections results came, and we decided it's time for us to move. If the country is going to go this direction, and we want to go to another direction, maybe it's time for us to look for that direction that we want. And that's what we did. We started for looking for options to live in somewhere else. We had a few, and this is something that we were having in our minds before. I lived for 1 year in Hungary, and so I had the experience. And then when we were getting married, we said, let's live some time abroad. That was an idea that we had. We wanted to expand somewhere else. But then my wife had experienced, we were planning already, we were in talks of universities abroad to do our MBAs. But then she got an opportunity to work to have an internship, a program for going around the departments in the company she was working at the time, and that was a program that was not open for women. So we decided let's stay here and we do our masters in Venezuela. At last, we love our country. We like being here. The network we want to develop is here, so we have no reasons to go abroad at the moment. But then life was inviting us to do something different, and we decided to accept the challenge. We were looking for options, and finally we came out in the best possible way. So it was a corporate job with a good setting, and we were pushed to that. We were looking for opportunities, and the best opportunity came for us, and we took it. We had our opportunities before, but they were not what we thought was best for us, for our careers, for our family. And then we decided when this opportunity came along, we said, "This is the time. Let's do it."
And where was that? Where did you move?
That took us to Switzerland, to Vevey, in the French part of Switzerland, in the Vaud canton, and that's where the headquarters of Nestle is. That's the company that my wife works for. And it was a challenge because we had to learn French. We didn't know any French. 4 years and 2 years were our daughters. We were used to having a lot of support at home, not only our parents, but we have help at home, people who work for us. And I was the leader of the company. I was the general manager of the family company. So I have a team. I have a personal assistant. I have everything set up. And so did my wife. 3 cars. We were, the kind of life in South America, in a good economic position, and we moved to a country that is a lot more horizontal, and you're just one more, and you need to learn to do things all by themselves. I remember when we were in Venezuela, we were living in a moment that there were scarcity of products, so we used to buy more than we needed. And one day we were, didn't have money in the account for paying things. And I said, "Where's money?" And the money was in our, we were having many expenses that we were having, and also buying more than we needed because we were like kind of conditioned for that. And then we started, it's a different place. We have to work differently. We have to function differently. And it was a big challenge, especially for me. I mean, for my wife also, because she had to learn to work internationally, to work in English. She spoke English, but she didn't work in English. So her English was kind of advanced intermediate, but not fluent. So she had to get used to that, to a corporation that was very different than from the operations. She was on a different kind of setting. And for me, I was the general manager for an organization, and then I was, staying home dad and taking my kids and cooking and, cleaning, doing laundry, all of this. I was not used to that. I was blessed to have help at home since I was a kid, so I didn't know much of household chores. But I embrace it. I'm super grateful for that opportunity because that has helped me to understand, to get concrete results of my job, to get physical things, and to anchor myself in the moment. So it's a grow process, and I'm very grateful for having that opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, because you also mentioned that where you were living before, even though you had abundance in terms of, facility of having staff at home and not doing the chores and all of that, you were having a scarcity mindset about you need to buy more to make sure you have enough for you, for your family. And then you arrive in a country with Switzerland is kind of abundance is there, but in a different way. You don't have the
Yeah.
health in a different form. So how was that? Because I guess this period also created some tension, maybe some questioning about who you are as a man, like maybe also changing from having responsibility to having responsibility at home, it's different responsibilities. It's not less important or more important, but how did you kind of make your way out of that period?
Yeah, for sure. It was very, very challenging for me. It was an identity change. I was the executive, the manager of the business. So I was member of different chambers of commerce. I was very active. I was a president of the entrepreneur chapter of the American Venezuelan Chamber of Commerce. So I was someone who was important, in my society, in my circle. And then I was there where I was, someone else. I mean, like any other regular person. So it was very humbling process for me to go and pick up my kids at school and stay in the park and having to get out of my comfort zone to meet people, to learn French. I really focused on the French for the first years, but I also had the opportunity to work on myself. Physically, for instance, when I grew up, I was always studying and I was playing music and being part of music projects and groups, and I never pay much attention to the physical part of my life. So I decided I have the opportunity to go to the gym and make that part of a habit for me. So there was also a change, part of my change in my identity, where I, started doing that. But I didn't know what to do, and I had a group of friends, spouses of expats there. All of them were men, and their spouses were the leading career, and that was very important for me, the support that I get from these people. But they were saying, "Oh, let's play tennis or let's do this and do that." And I feel very guilty. My wife was at work, she was pushing herself, and I was like, how will I go and play tennis or do this or that? I mean, I didn't feel deserving to enjoy life. That was what's happening with me actually. So I grew up in a family of workaholic. My father is a workaholic. My sister, my brother, they are workaholics as well. And I saw life through work. So not working in a corporate environment was making me a little bit crazy. And it also was home office for me because I still support the company at home, back in Venezuela. Uh, so for me, learning to manage my time was a big challenge. I like being structured because I need structure to get things done, to know where I'm gonna be, what I'm gonna do. So having this kind of free time, it was a little bit very challenging for me. I took a bunch of books from Venezuela because I thought I'm gonna have time to read, I'm gonna have time to do this and that. And it wasn't like that because 4 and 2 years old, I remember having a call with a Spanish company during a project that we were developing, and my daughter was leaving her Pampers. She was taking her Pampers off, and I know I was in this call, and I had to mute it. It was a big mess, a big mess, and I was dealing with this, and I was being challenged, being called by life to find other things that were more meaningful, but I wasn't aware of. I remember in another situation, I went to a meeting with, a dual career meeting with an organization that they were helping people to look for jobs. And I have two stories from that. One is that I met a guy, American guy, like maybe in his late 40s or early 50s. He was also, we started talking, how's this experience for you? He said, I'm super happy. I had the time to bundle with my kids, to mingle with them, to be more with them. And I was like, what's happening with this guy? I need a job. I need something to do. I need something, you know, to to feel myself productive. I didn't get it, and so many years later, now it hit me. It's a time that I got with my kids, and I got to be the model for them, and I got to grow through them because they teach me, and I have to be a better version of me to be a better model for them. That was one. Another one on the professional side, I was looking for the job pass because I had the idea that I wanted to look for a job, just for a change. And I was looking for those jobs and I was seeing, different positions and they all needed super specialized knowledge. And I was a general manager and I did work for 4 years in 5 years in Kraft Foods as a marketing executive. And I did have a lot of experience in many different things. Also being a general manager of my security business, like very broad experience. But all these positions, they were demanding super specialized things. So they needed, you need experience in CRM. Okay, great. I do have experience in CRM. You need 10 years of experience in CRM. I don't. You need a media experience of 5 or 7 years. I do know how to buy media. I know of these marketing things, but I do not have a specialized 10 or 7 years experience specifically on that. So that was a shock for me, the difference between Europe and America, in South America especially. In South America, we're more broad, and in Europe, it's super specialized. So that's a shock for me, and I have to, you know, turn my key and say, okay, this is different. I'm in a different environment. I have to see what is it that I'm going to specialize on, and I have to see how to adapt to this new life, this new identity.
Wow, you're covering so many topics. I think so many people can relate about, being a mom or dad at home and feeling guilty or feeling like I don't deserve to have a good time for me or going to play tennis. How many people are like this? Like, okay, I need to do more things for the kids and focus on that because or finding a job and it's not good to stay at home and all of that. And then later on, years maybe after, you realize that, oh, wow, the quality of this time that this American guy is like, yeah, it's now. Like you can really enjoy the time for your kids now. And
Yes, and also realization of I was having conflicts, internal conflicts, not
yeah.
only the guilt, but also where will I develop? And also I I was faced with my all my bias
Mm,
because I was valuing more the work in an office or the work outside of home rather than the staying home position or role. So for me, that was humbling because I didn't know how to do those things.
mm,
And if you ask me by that time, I will say I will prefer 100 times to be in an office and to do have a regular corporate job than to be at home. But now I can see how that was an invitation for my growth
mm,
because having a meal and getting ready a meal, which was a specific product that you could see, you could touch. That was humbling. I had to learn how to shop. I had to face to new brands and I was not used to any of this. So it was very humbling and very, it helped me grow so much because I definitely was outside of my comfort zone in many ways. And it made an identity shift that I had to be someone else that I was not used to
mm,
be the best version of me for my kids and for my wife. She was bringing the income, the biggest income, and I was support for her. But during time that has evolved, so I had to also change the mindset that now she's settled, I need to do for me
yeah.
and to put myself first. And this has happened in different moves that we have had when we moved to Brazil and when we moved to Italy. It's okay, yeah, you need to have your role as a support, but you definitely need to put yourself first because if you're not in the best of yourself, you cannot be support for anyone. So that is a very humbling and a lot of growth in this process.
Wow. Yeah, I have chills in all my body. Yeah, like explaining that it's also there are moments and chapters. It's not forever, you didn't end up at the end dad at home forever and missing his like I would say work-life balance and all of that. And being at support of your wife when it's important was also like magical and it's probably very grounding for your family in total to make the success of your family. And how did you shift your work alcoholic mindset towards something more healthy,
Oh,
I would say, even today? I know.
yes. That's a great question, Lucy, because I realized that having time outside of work actually made me more productive. And that was very counterintuitive for me. I thought I had to put all the hours possible in my work. Uh, so I not only felt guilty, but I developed um, the consciousness that by, let's say, I started learning golf with a bunch of these friends. So focusing on that and learning a sport was helping me in my job. Later on, I played some tennis in Brazil where I learned some tennis. So it was pushing me outside of my comfort zone and it helped me with focus. So, you have to follow the ball. You have to know where your position. And now I'm playing paddle here in Italy. And that's also humbling. And I am taking up the lessons from the sports and from the gym and from walking in nature or doing hiking. I'm taking all those lessons in my job. And to be outside, to be thinking of something else, actually gives me a lot of oxygen to do my work best. And I was in this scarcity mindset. This like all hours need to be put into that, and there's no life beyond work. So I discovered life beyond work, and that's one of my biggest outcomes of all of this process because now I enjoy life more, and I put things in perspective and I realized what is most important. I was given the same amount of importance to different things. So I was not prioritizing. That's something that was very challenging for me. Still, I need, some room of improvement for sure. My next level, it's out there and I'm reaching it. But for sure, I can see the relative importance of things. What is critical and what is not? What is accessory and what is core? That is something that by being more in life rather than in work, I learn not only through my kids, because if my daughter has something, she was hospitalized, I have to focus on that. That's a priority at the moment.
Yeah.
And I remember having and it also gives some tension in the couple, I had an interview that I was gonna I have a presentation and my daughter was at the hospital. So this but I know she was better, but I picked doing my presentation because I have to put my opportunity first. My wife was there, the work was the medic, the all the doctors were there. She was already doing better. She was outside of any kind of danger. But making these decisions,
Yeah.
when to take a call, when not to take a call, this has helped me so much and not to be desperate, because I was very anxious of making income, very anxious of I have to work, especially when I arrived to Brazil. I say, okay, so the homestaying that chapter is over in Switzerland. Now I'm in Brazil. We have help at home again. I have to look for ways to work more and to launch my career as a family business consultant because I did an MBA while I was in Switzerland. I did a global executive MBA in family business. Now I was in Brazil, so I want to apply all of this not only to my family but to other families. and help entrepreneurs. And I was, like super anxious going to network events and to different things. And, people felt that. People feel it. Uh, Only when I calm down and I say, okay, this is a process. You have been here, you have to live the process, not because you lived it before, it's going to be shorter process. And that was very humbling as well. When I arrived to Brazil, I said, it's a South American country. I know how it works. It's more culturally more like Venezuela. I already live an expatriation in Switzerland. Portuguese is easier than French. I'm gonna grasp it fast. So we have help at home. Then another identity shift because now I was not the same home dad. I had to allow to, my wife to take her role as a mother, and now I was stepping in her role as a mother. So for me, getting to see that I was stepping in that, and she was getting comfortable on that. So there were different shifts also as a couple. She was leaning more into the masculine side of the couple, and I was developing all my feminine side and so much that I had to, be aware of that and start embracing back my masculinity and allow her space to embrace her feminine side. So the many shifts, a lot of growth in this process, but I was very anxious. So I started to lean on more personal development. Then I did my coaching certifications while I was in Brazil, and that helped me so much to grow as a person and because I was, working with families, and yeah, I knew, finance, operations, marketing, all of these. I knew that by heart, not only because of my academic background of being a business administration, an MBA in Venezuela, an MBA in France, but also all the experience as a family business leader. But I was seeing, okay, why is people not applying this?
Mm.
So I deep dive into the human being. And that's why this new phase allow me to understand myself and to understand human beings. And that has made me a lot better consultant, coach, and mentor because I know what's going on in the person,
Mm.
and this has helped me grow so much and allow me to help my clients to get faster results and to embrace themselves and to empower themselves. And that's part of my methodology. I call it empower to transform because
Yeah.
that's the process I lived.
Yeah, exactly. And it's what you say. You cannot differentiate the human being from from the theoretical expertise of work. You really need to integrate all together because it's how we get more success and more result actually. So, and I guess you apply it to your life and to your business as well and all of that.
For sure. Before that, I knew all of it. For sure, I was applying many things, but in the human part, like becoming a better leader, being more flexible, and at the same time, more driven, more results driven, more effective because I will enjoy life, but still get work done. And another shift that I had in myself and that I can help my clients with now is that I was super analytical. So everything was brain driven, everything was cognitive. From the cognitive side, I have to learn, read, I have to do courses, I have to, develop all of this. But I discovered that that's just a small part of our brain and small part of the whole thing. There's no other word, and I was so much in my mind. So I was super analytical, and then I made a shift to being more hands-on, more executor, more doing it because I was paralyzed. I was so perfectionist that I was not doing things. So
Mm.
then I started doing things and not caring if they were as good as my standard. So I was really taking massive, massive. messy action to, and that helped me so much in gaining confidence
Mm.
because before that I was thinking that it was, you know, see my language. I say thinking. I was in my mind, learning. It's studying. It's which is the theory, the model that's going to help me. And then I realized that it was my own models, my own journey, my own way to apply these things that will make the difference. Of course, I still can learn from many people, and I that's going to help me so much. But it's these stories that I can explain you about swimming, but until you don't get in the pool, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So that's an analogy for that. But I put myself hands on, and I really started getting outside of my comfort zone because I still, I was a solopreneur. I was
Yeah.
launching my coaching practice as a solopreneur. I was doing everything myself. In Brazil, everyone asked for help for doing so many things. And that's another learning, this balance between doing it myself or asking for help. So I was in a moment, first in Venezuela, I was working through others. Then in Switzerland, I was doing everything myself. So I was kind of conditioned for that when I arrived to Brazil to do everything by myself. And I wasn't asking for help. And I also did in Switzerland with some other things, but not work. So I have to transfer that, being humble enough to ask for help, to recognize that I don't know how to do it, and I can find someone who helped me. That was a process that I was in. So asking for help but getting practical experience. So it's that combination that helped me so much to advance.
Wow, such a journey in 10 years, 3 different countries, so much growth, personal growth, but also applying it into your work life. And so what I really heard is you are more humble, more confident, a little bit less analytical, less using your mind, but also, being living it and all of that. So did you imagine you would become this person 10 years ago, just before you leave?
For sure not. I'm more humble, and I'm more grateful. I'm
Wow.
appreciating what I have. And this has been a shift in the last few years also, which is helping me a lot in finance, because and that's part of your following there and your expertise. I was not embracing what I already have
Mm.
had. So I was looking for the new thing and looking for, make more money, and I was not recognizing the things I have, to the point that I was not looking to some investments that I made in the past, and I was just not taking a look to it. I was like taking all of that for granted and being very disorganized. So I went through the process of getting more into the details. And
Mm.
that's a big experience that I had as a business leader and as a businessman, because in Panama we had an operation that was very good. We grow a lot, and then we went a moment that we started losing money. And I was only focusing on the top line. I think this is gonna be good for your public. I was focusing so much in the top line all the time, grow the business, grow the business, grow the
Yeah.
business. And I came from an inflationary world, so you need to bring more money in, and you have to accelerate the the investments. I think this is useful for people who's trying to get used to this inflationary way. In inflation, you need to, make more income, make more revenue, and even spend more than you maybe planned, because things tomorrow will be more expensive. Of course, you need to have a balance on that, but in
Yeah.
general, that's like a different kind of mindset that when you're working in a more stable or more hard currency. And I had that shock when I arrived to Switzerland because I was coming from that. Then I had to learn how to manage in a it's not going to get more expensive tomorrow. I have to manage my cash flow. That's the thing that I have to focus on, because it can even get cheaper later on. And do I need it now, or do I need it, or can I wait? So this is a different kind of mindset. So I was in this grow mode and expansion mode for my family business. Um, and then the cost went up, the labor went up. I had someone taking care of the operations that was, big, hard, but not looking at the numbers in the proper way. And I was trusting him so much, and I was not looking at that. So it wasn't until I flew to Panama and spent some time there and saw some things that were not going right, and he was not being tough enough. One of the main clients was pushing so hard, and he was being weak. And when I saw that, I said, "We're leaving this contract. It's not profitable." It was a very labor intensive contract. We was in the security guards, very labor intensive. So your margins are small. You need to watch that. Otherwise, and I had the signs in the cash flow, but I didn't grasp it. It was like, we will get another contract, and I wasn't watching the numbers closely enough. So now I date my finance every week. I know that's part of your thing, and I'm watching my finance so much closer. Also, the personal and the business. But to finish that is that um yeah, the top line. It's I like this saying that revenue, it's vanity, and then profit is sanity, and cash flow is reality. So we were faced with the cash flow, and I was super attached to the business, and we lost so much money in the process
Mm.
because we didn't realize we were losing so much money. And we hired an auditor. There was a friend of the person who was doing the finance. So, you trusting so much that you make that kind of mistakes. I was very naive, very, very naive. And so there were some leakage in the business for sure, because we had guards business forever, so we knew how things were. We're not explaining why putting more money and more money and more money. And I also had a big structure. And when we lose some clients, I was not quick enough to restructure. And in this kind of business, is like a ladder. So you go up, but you need to, if you lose clients, you need to re resize the
Okay.
business, right size the business all the time. So, and I was in growth mindset all the time. So I
Mm.
learned to shrink. I learned to go smaller, and that was a very humbling process as well. That I've gone through a lot of pain through that, but now I have other tools in my belt that I can help my clients with, and I can put my business in another way.
Yeah, it's so important what you mentioned, because yes, a lot of people just focus on bringing more cash in, which it's not always the best way to actually get better result, and result I mean profitability. And as well, what you say, cash flow. Cash flow is one of the reason, I think it's the main reason that businesses actually fail and close in less than 3 years. So it's really about finding the time, now creating the time to date your finances, to sit down, to have a look, to as you said, to change the perspective, to look into details, to have focus time. You mentioned a lot about tennis bringing you focus time into that to look at, and this may be 1 hour per month. It doesn't have to be a long time, but it's so important, because more you spot the little issue on the way, more you can make better decision and restructure when it's needed. And uh, we people don't really like downgrading, of course, but sometimes on the life of a business, you come to moment where downgrading is the only way to survive and only way for you to kind of update your business model and to relaunch in a new way. And I know many businesses, and mine included, that at some stage I had to let go of a part of the business because it was not aligned anymore. And I think your story, Mauricio, is also that is you had a family business, and then things happen. You were in different countries, and then you end up doing more coaching and something more aligned. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit who you became today as an entrepreneur, and what do you love to do with your people, with your clients?
Yes, yes, definitely. Well, what I like to do is pass on my life experience because through those life experiences, I have learned so much about myself and about business. And I will repeat it. It has been a humbling process, and to detach, because what happened in this case in Panama, I was attached to the business. I was so attached to the business. Didn't want to let go, that it cost me so much more. But I've gone through those lessons. So I help my clients to accelerate the process by helping me not only through my experience, but giving them the taste of those experiences themselves. So I work a lot in the unconscious side of things because in my coaching certifications, I've learned a lot about the unconscious level and hypnotherapy and all of these kind of things that they're just shortcuts for things. Yes, you can learn cognitive many things, but you can also go to the other side, and it's going to be quicker. It's going to be a lot more efficient if we talk in terms of business. But it's a transformation that can happen in a heartbeat when you make the decision. But for making that decision, you need to see it. So I help you to see it. I help you to broaden your perspective. And this international experience that I've had allows me to to see things, spot things easier. I tell you another story. I lived for a year in Hungary, not knowing the language. So I arrived there with maybe I knew 50, 60 words, including the numbers, you know? So I arrived to a family. I was 17 years old, and I had to communicate with them, and they didn't speak English. So I started paying attention to all the context, everything else besides the words. So I have an awareness that has helped me through my life. And of course, I then ended learning the Hungarian. But my point is that I'm able to see some things that some people don't see because I have this broad perspective. And the fact, when I was doing my global executive MBA, we went visiting different family business in many different places of the world. Paris, Lille, Boston, Singapore, London, and we were seeing family business, and we were a group of international family leaders. So I saw that these challenges are human challenges. They are not something that is happening in that location. So by moving abroad, you can see that it's human challenges. And there are of course, there are cultural things that play in this. And I can see those cultural things because I can, the Asia and the Latin America or the North American or the European. Yes, for sure, we have different ways of our culture has a play, and it's there. But there are human challenges and human themes that are there, and I can spot those. And I remember, having clients in Brazil, oh no, Brazil, it's so complicated. And I was like, hey, it's just this. It's incentive. It's human. It's markets. It's demand and offer. It's value proposition. So, and also all of this language, because when I work with entrepreneurs, with startups, they have fancy words for everything, and it's great to learn all of this. But I lean a lot into that. But at last, it's just common sense and business fundamentals that I've known forever. So we have different words, different, it's more specific, more tax to put to things, but at last it's just common sense that we don't use it so much. So this is what I do. I help my clients learn about themselves, learn about the business, and yeah, even learn about the business by learning about themselves, because every business is a lot like their owners. So like when you see a dog, people say, the dogs like it's they resemble because they are in the same energy. And I'm learning a lot more about energy, and I'm using now this device to learn a lot more about energy, and it's a great support that I give to my clients, also the energy part. So being aware of all of this has helped me to get it get the results quicker and to go deeper.
Mm.
Not everyone is ready to go deeper, but when someone is ready to go deep, we can definitely go, because I've done the travel myself. I've gone very deep, very, very deep in my own personal developing in many different areas of my life. As I was saying, not only business, but personal, and as a couple, and the feminine, and the masculine, and the finance, and the. So I offer this comprehensive spectrum that you won't find on a, let's say a digital marketing advisor, or an expert in, let's say, operations. I can see all of that, and I can see the human being, so we can go faster, and you can get to the root cause that is repeating in different areas of your life and on your business. And I can spot that, and I can help you see it. And once you see it, you will change it. You will turn the key, and you will transform by your empowerment, because I will empower yourself. And remember, every entrepreneur, every family business leader, you are the most important resource of your business, and you are the most important resource of your family and for yourself. So whenever we work on you, we're working in your family system, and we're working in your business, and it's compound effect. So it's leverage, and it's very, very powerful.
Yeah, I love where when you were in Switzerland, you couldn't see your value as someone being general manager and generic approach, whereas today you are doing this general approach to people, to business owner, to help them in all the spectrum. So you turn, and it's where actually the beauty of, in a way, expatriation and creating our own business is how you can value our expertise. And this is the key, is every single person has so much value to offer, and it's not because it doesn't match with the job offer that there is no value into it. And now I really admire the fact that you have pull this into together to actually offer this service to your clients. So it's beautiful.
Yes, and also, being in Italy, I'm learning about La Dolce Vita. They really
Yeah.
value what they love. Well, you have been here in Italy and you love it. It's great. And they enjoy life. And sometimes, I was coming from South America, Brazil, push, 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 push. And it's important to push. It's important to be driven. But what do we do that for? We do that for enjoying life. And
Exactly.
I'm spotting myself in my language. So and this is the self-awareness that I've built, and some of my programs are related to that. I am spotting myself when I finish a conversation. I very usually say, take care of yourself. So it's fear that was driving me, because I come from an environment where insecurity is there, and I was dealing with risks in the security company, and I was, be aware, take the measures, and when you're not in a dangerous situation, you don't have to do that. So differentiation of when to put the risk manager in command and
Mm,
when to put the enjoy life uh, in command. So this is part of my current chapter in and that Italy is giving me because admiring art, art, it's when you connect to art, you go to a higher level of vibration. You admire things and you are getting away from fear, away from the scarcity mindset, away from, and you see if people devoted so much time to that, and they were not, they were doing that and they were adding value through that, and they will for sure receive something to allow them to devote a life to art.
yeah.
So we can learn a lot from that too. So I'm still in the process, but I'm loving it because I was, trying to make things my own way. And now I know that I have to get into the country and into the system because it's not the system that will adapt to me. It's me that I have to adapt to the system. And I think that's very important as an expat, that we have to be humble enough to merge into it. It's like having children. I have a program in parenting, but children, they are arriving, but they need to adapt to what we're doing. Of course, we need to adapt our setting for receiving the children, but they are the ones arriving into our system as a couple, as a family, and if we put our life and our mindset into adapting to them, we are changing so much that they don't have stability and
Yeah.
everything is and systems, and I love systems, and I've been learning a lot about that because of my family business background, my family dynamics, and my family consultant certifications. um, that systems, they tend to stay the same until they are disrupted, but
Mm,
when they are disrupted, it's because they're going to get better.
yeah.
So we sometimes have fear of crisis, but crises are actually good for us. So I lived an identity crisis when I arrived to Switzerland. I relived another identity crisis when I arrived to Brazil, and in Italy, I'm having a different kind
Experience.
of
Mm,
crisis too, and I'm adapting myself, and so the business have gone through different phases. So there are stages. It's like seasons or like, night and day. So we can see that in nature. And I love your background and you can see that it's very green, but I know for that to be green, it rains a lot there. So we need to allow the rain to come, and
okay.
we need to embrace that because it's good for us and not being afraid of that, and just be ready for the rainy season. It's coming, and just have the measures that we have. Then I put the risk manager, more. So inflation and all of these different things, I know how to handle that, but I also know that we can breathe and know that there's going to be a bright future for us.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't stop working on yourself and have your intention, your mindset, your goal clear, you'll keep progressing and you will arrive to what you want to go. So that's part of one of my ventures. It's called Meta Stream, which is like a stream of goals. Because
Mm,
if you don't have a goal, you don't know where you're going. And that happened to me. So when you have a goal, you can achieve it, or even you can get close to it, and that's going to make you a better person. So that's part of what I do in this um, empowered to transform methodology that I use with my clients.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think you're it's so right about having the awareness, navigating the changes. It's what I think expatriation is. It's a school for that. Is how to embrace change, how to adapt, how to be flexible, how to become humble. Because when you live abroad, you know you are a foreigner, and when you go back home, you know you're still a foreigner at home because then you
Yes.
have so transformed and you don't don't connect so much anymore with home.
We have changed, and things have changed
It's
at home
changed.
too. So we are longing for something. When I went to Venezuela last January, December, it, we we knew it was a different place, and we were different people. So don't expect that to be the same. And
Exactly.
it's called reverse cultural shock. I lived that when I arrived from Hungary. Um, I was living a different kind of life, and I went back to my same family. So that is also a process to readapt, to reinsert yourself in whatever culture. So that makes you more flexible, yes, but that allows you to know better yourself, to know what you want,
Mhm.
and see how you can put those things to work for you. Because every place has many advantages and disadvantages, and we cannot judge the advantages of one place with the disadvantages of other place. We need to see both side of the balance sheet. Actually, you have assets and liabilities. So you need to see what are the assets and liabilities of each place, and then you see the balance. And you can compare, yes, you can compare that balance to another place, yes. But even and that will help you make a decision, but even then it's not better or worse, it's just
Mm.
different.
It's a
That's something
choice.
I learned so many years ago when I was traveling to Switzerland with AFS. That was like and their mission is like to bring peace to people, to the world, and I wasn't understanding that. It came to me, my daughters are studying in international school here in Milano, and I saw a parade with all the kids with flags and names for each country. And I was saying, why don't they, the Spanish have the Spanish flag or the Korean have the Korean flag? No, they're mixing them. And I was like, why? And it came to me. I was crying there because I realized these guys, these younger generations, they don't differentiate black, white, French, whatever, language, different disabilities or different diversity in all the sense. And I have my nephew right now here. He's in an autistic spectrum. So I'm learning about neurodiversity as well right now. He's a few days with me now. But what my point is that when one of these children that carry a flag of another country, when they are adults, they will remember that. They will know that we are all the same. We're human. We share this human condition. And I think that's very, very beautiful and very important to keep in mind because we have more things in common than things that separate us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful note to end this podcast on because the future gonna be, even though all what happening in the world, I do believe, like you mentioned earlier, Mauricio, that there is hope, and when we see the new generation, like its diversity is whole together, and I think there is hope. So I finished the podcast with rapid five. So it's a five last question, very short answers. Are you ready for it?
Yes, I will be sure. I can be sure too. Let's put myself to the test.
So one thing you would love for your life.
Absolute financial abundance.
Mm. One thing you would love for the world.
Union.
The worst advice you have ever received.
That's a good one. Oh my God. I don't know. I forgot that. I don't.
That's
I
good.
don't. It was so bad that I didn't take it, or I don't know.
Good answer. The best advice you have ever received.
Oh, I think it's to be grateful and to appreciate what we have in life.
Hmm. And if you had a magic wand, what would you transform?
Wow. Um, this idea of people that bad things are bad because the evil and the bad has a function. We learn from that, and we learn by contrast. It's like you cannot be happy if you haven't ever been sad. So you cannot be good or better if you don't see what the bad is there to show us something. So when we embrace our shadows, then we become more light.
Thank you so much, Mauricio. And to the audience, they will be able to connect with you. All the links are below. And we look forward to the next conversation. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
sure. Thank you so much, Lucy, for this opportunity. I enjoyed so much. Um, I'm sure your audience will take some things out of this, and I'm here to serve. So, if you're a family business leader, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're ready to go to your next level, if you're ready to go deeper, I'm here to serve you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mauricio.
Thank you, Lucy.